Everybody. I hope everyone's getting online. It's 8 o'clock. I have two cameras going. I have the Facebook Live and I have another one just so we can post this video to YouTube because we have a lot of people in the challenge who just are not into Facebook and we wanted to include them and let them also see these videos. I hope everyone can hear me well. Let me turn up the volume so you guys can hear me properly. Well, welcome everybody to the second Facebook call that we're doing during this 21-day Kickstart Challenge. Hi, Risa. I see you there. Anyone who's online, please definitely share a like or a heart and definitely message with any questions. I wanted to say thank you to all of you. You guys are doing a great job on this challenge. I personally have been overjoyed just seeing everybody's posts, what everyone has been doing. You've really taken a great liking to that self-care rituals guide, and it really has such a wealth of knowledge inside of it. I cannot stress this enough. When I saw and learned the Ayurvedic guide to self-care and the daily kind of hygiene rituals we can have in our daily life, I learned that in high school. And I was just astounded by how powerful it is and how preventive it is and how it's really an investment in your long-term health. And it's really a series of tiny, easy things that you can get in the habit of doing that could kind of take a couple minutes each or less. So it's really not a huge thing to ask for. And I love that all of you are starting to incorporate it and try it. I do have people who are not necessarily posting in the Facebook group, but I get their messages, their private messages, their emails, and all of that. So every single day that I get those, I'm so grateful. Please keep sending them in. And definitely, please keep posting in the Facebook group. I know in the past, we've had 21-day challenges where people say, you know what, I missed the first day, I missed the second day, I'm not going to win the prize anyway, so I'm not going to post, or I don't have time. I know that everyone's busy. Trust me, I get it. There are times when my schedule, all I'm doing is throwing the things off my plate that there's no way I'm going to finish in the week that I have to. But this challenge is really for you. Our goal here is to share some really beautiful knowledge with you to really get your year kick-started in the best way possible. And my personal goal is really to teach you these modern Ayurveda tools that can support you. I really think that they are lifelong tools. So I encourage you, week 1 is ending. Today is Sunday. Tomorrow is a new Monday. So feel free to start posting. We're going to do prizes on a per week basis. So points start all over again tomorrow. And I'd love it if you guys would start posting again tomorrow and share with us what out of the self-care rituals are you doing and what out of this healthy diet and lifestyle eating plan that I'm about to share will you be able to incorporate. I'm going to go ahead and get started because I could talk forever on Ayurveda, and I'm sure you guys don't want to be here all night. So the next guide that I just posted in the group and that you'll be receiving in your email, it looks like this. It's Modern Ayurveda plus Fusionary Formulas. And it's called A Guide to Healthy Agni. Agni is Sanskrit for fire. So 5,000 years ago, Ayurveda taught us this concept of the digestive fire and how that is the root cause of all health or disease. As someone who lives from the East and the West, I always find it so encouraging and just beautiful when Western science starts to prove what Eastern medicine said for thousands of years. So we're in that phase now. We keep hearing about the gut microbiome, probiotics, prebiotics. We're hearing that the gut is the immune system is really housed in our gut. We're hearing that the gut is the second brain. Our emotions are there. You're constipated in the gut, you're constipated in the emotions. You're angry and digestion is angry and upset, you are angry and upset. So this concept, I'm relating it to modern times so that you understand that it's here and now. Here and now we are starting to finally prove with science what we've already discussed for thousands of years. But if it helps you, you can relate these to modern terms as well. And that's really my goal. It's modern Ayurveda. I'm trying to do that for you. But I wanted to tie that together for you because it's important to understand that. I'm not just teaching you something from 5,000 years that's a hopeful philosophy that might be true. It's actually proven by science now to be very true. I just find that Ayurveda very beautifully explains to us how to use this knowledge. When I'm told you have a gut microbiome and your immune system's there, take some probiotics, okay. But if I was out there eating, I don't know, McDonald's, which I don't do, but eating McDonald's and taking a probiotic, I'm not quite doing the whole program, the whole system that will help me get the result that I might be seeking. So let's start with Agni. Agni means fire, and it also means ignite. It's really the digestive fire within all of us. Now, imagine if you had a digestive fire and you had a couple of different ways you could treat it in your day. You could wake up, throw a huge breakfast in there, heavy snacks, a huge lunch, a huge dinner, and then just kind of lay around all day overstuffed full to the brim. Imagine how that would support or not support a digestive fire inside. So really think of it as a fire, almost like a little campfire. Back in the day, in olden times, if you lived in a hut made of mud and sticks, you would have that fire, and that's what you would cook on. And so how would you rekindle it? How would you start it up in the morning so that you could cook food all day long? How would you dampen it and slow it down in the evening so you can sleep and really rest? Maybe think of it visually like that, which can help you imagine what is a good and bad thing intuitively. One thing I want to share with you is through modern Ayurveda, this concept of intuitively knowing what's right for your body and living according to that. So Agni is very, very, very important, and in the guide you'll read all about it, so I'm not going to give you a 1-hour lecture on that. But let's talk about how we can support our Agni, which I think is super important. How do we support healthy digestion? I have so many people who've come to me in the last couple of years while I've owned Fusionary, and they say, my skin is erupting. I have hives and they itch, or you name it. I've heard of like 1,000 different health ailments that people have. And oftentimes it can be related to digestion. And I share that with people. You know, skin, that's the gut. Immune system, that's the gut. Irritated digestion can cause long-term disease. So it's just so important when you have that awareness that you might not have the happiest tummy, that we go ahead and deal with that and change our habits accordingly. So one great way to support your Agni, your healthy digestion, is to really be mindful when eating. This one, I don't know about you guys, I find it super hard. I have become so accustomed to, okay, I'm working. Oh, it's lunchtime, I gotta eat. I'll go find something healthy to eat. I'll put it right next to me. I'm working and I'm eating. It's really tough. Because I'm aware of this, I catch myself now and I'm like, Shivani, we could give ourselves 10 minutes, right? 10 minutes to eat a meal, 5 minutes even. So I'll close my laptop. Sometimes I'll switch to my phone, then I'll put my phone face down and say, no, come on, look out the window, do anything. Don't do this. Don't Facebook while you eat a meal. You know it's mindless and the meal won't be as filling. So I encourage you to try that. I know it's hard and I know it's a practice, but it's very important to be aware of what you're eating. And you'll read in here that I put down, take a breath after you're done eating. So let's say you finish your meal. Take like one breath just to close out the meal. Okay, I've done that. I'm satiated. I'm full. I acknowledge that. And then move on. Not just I was in amusement parks this weekend and I saw so many people who were literally like fast walking and eating at the same time. And I kind of just looked at them in horror. Like, I'll eat fast sitting and doing something else, but I've never fast walked eating like that. It's just, you're putting so much wind in the food with you. We call it wind in Ayurveda. That food is just not going to digest properly. It's going to go in wrong and it's going to not absorb right. It's not going to give you the nutrients you want. Another thing I talk about is avoiding Agni inhibitors. So one habit we have here in the US and pretty much internationally now is to drink cold water before a meal. You get to any restaurant, they give you a huge glass of ice water. That's a big no-no in terms of your digestion. So I always tell them, I'm so sorry, could you please take that back? Or when they come and ask, I'll say, can I have a glass of water room temperature? And can I have a glass of hot water, please? They all have hot water available. It's super easy. And I think I've shared this before, but I carry my own tea bags with me. So before any meal, I'll have like a rooibos tea, a green tea, even half a cup, just as if I was having soup, because I'm not necessarily going to have soup with every meal. When I've stayed in Ayurvedic institutes before, oftentimes they'll give you soup, and that'll ignite that digestion, and then you have the meal. It's almost like heating it, and then you start eating. So that's one option, is hot water beforehand. And I keep that room temperature water just in case I need something to sip on during the meal. So that's one big tip, is avoiding Agni inhibitors. Another is kindling that Agni before eating, so having that hot drink. And here we also say drink a cup or two of warm water upon waking, and a large glass, about 2 cups, of warm or room temperature water 20 to 30 minutes before your meals. So some people have been asking me, well, when do I drink green juice and when do I drink water? 20 to 30 minutes away from the meal. Before is preferred. Oftentimes, I'll do something like I'll buy a shot at a juice place, an immune shot or beta immunity or a detox shot. And I'll say, oh, I need this, just as a quick immune support throughout my day, or I'll buy a green juice, and I'll drink it way too close to the meal. And I will feel it immediately. I'll know, I'll say, it closed my digestion. I can't believe I just did that. And I can feel that meal is not going in the same. So I encourage you to really tune in and practice this. This is very simple. Every restaurant you go to, no more ice water, room temperature water. If you can, order their tea or carry your own tea. That's up to you. Drink half a cup before any large meal. See how you feel. Do you start to feel like your food is digested better? Then cut out the habit of eating any fruit after meals. We're going to talk about food combinations. And don't drink anything cold after your meal, and see how you feel. Put your ice water drinking or cold water drinking or green juice drinking separate, an hour away from the meals. That's like a totally separate activity, non-related to eating. And just see how you feel. You might feel incredible. I know I do. I'm very aware of that now. So I talked about having the full deep breath. In here, we do talk about cleansing. It is very important for our digestion to occasionally cleanse. A lot of times people come to me and they sound like they're very, very, very addicted to sugar. I think all of us in times of stress or some in their daily lives have a craving for sugar. I think that's fine. But some truly call me and say, I cannot stop. Like, I just cannot stop eating sugar. I think that's a very good reason to do a full detox. I would do that under the care of an Ayurvedic practitioner, or if you have an acupuncturist you love. I have an acupuncturist I love here locally who I've done that with a few times, a proper detox before I was ready to have children and all of that. And I also believe in doing a great annual detox as well. But you really have to time that right. In Ayurveda, we teach that you do that at the intersection of seasons. So between winter and spring and summer, that kind of thing. At those intersection times is a good time to cleanse the system and prepare for the next season. And then here I wrote, engage in appropriate exercise. So you have this digestion. Imagine it's a fire. And imagine if you just don't move all day. You don't do anything all day. You just sit there sedentary. And you expect that fire to be kindled and moving and digest your food. So we really encourage exercise. Now in Ayurveda, we primarily share walking. And I have been to many Ayurvedic institutes where they're like, just walk, just walk. And I look at them like, I am not going to get the muscle tone. There's no way I'm going to get the body I want that way. Now I have stayed at Ayurvedic institutes where we drank 3 liters of water a day. We walked 5 miles a day. We did yoga and we did pranayama. I do think that in an ideal world, yes, that's enough. But I do believe that living here in the U.S., we have a whole different ball game in terms of what we're dealing with. We've got processed foods. I ate a ton in these amusement parks this weekend. We've got endocrine disruptors. We've got cleaning products that are not as clean around us. Skincare. Basically, I have a belief that our bodies are kind of under assault, and there's only so much that the body can take. So for that reason, I do think that weight gain and weight gain is quite easy and weight loss is not so easy in this country where we live and how we eat and how our food is supplied to us. So I do believe that strength training and a higher level of exercise is needed just for weight maintenance. And from what I see a lot of women who are in that perimenopause, menopause stage. I think you have to fight twice as hard from what I see. Hormones have to be regulated, but that creeping up of weight gain that happens is so stubborn and frustrating to so many women who I talk to. You almost have to work out double as much to maintain doing what you would have previously done to lose the weight. So I just wanted to share that engaging in appropriate exercise as related to Agni and digestion, it's important. So even if you walk 4 times a week, it's just important to get the body moving, all systems moving. And just make sure that you're doing that, especially during this challenge, and try to keep that habit throughout the year. Another point I bring up in this guide is fresh air and pranayama. So Agni is kindled when we breathe deeply and relax in our bodies. This might be something as simple as going for a walk or a hike in nature. Or you can do a couple minutes of yogic breathing exercises. So during this 21 days, where can you get outside? I mean, if you are in South Florida, we have the most exquisite weather going on right now that I've ever seen. So why not get out? Go to the beach and take a half-hour walk on the boardwalk, or find a beautiful park and fit in 20 minutes. Or if you have no time, go down the street. For me, if I have a day where I cannot work out, or I'm fighting a cold, or who knows what's going on, I just take a 20-minute walk and just get the movement going in my body so there's no stagnation. Stagnation is a big problem. It's like when you throw a huge meal in and all of a sudden you're hoping your body will figure out how to digest it. It's just not ideal. So how can we support our bodies? How can we, if you go out and have a huge meal, fine, celebrations happen, fun happens. But could you come back and, stand and do the dishes or clean up for 20 minutes? Any sort of activity that keeps you moving, that helps that body get that food down and through the system so that it's fully digested, assimilated, and eliminated as needed. Another point here I make is follow a consistent daily routine. So I think most of the people who I meet have a pretty consistent routine. Maybe it's because everyone I meet is in their mid to late 30s and higher. And I think pretty much everyone in this challenges now that I think about it. But what I mean here by consistent daily routine is, do you wake up every day around 6:37? Do you eat breakfast every day around 7:30 or around whatever time in the morning? Noon, is that when your digestive fire is always ready to go for lunch and you make sure you have lunch at noon or 12:30? Do you always have an afternoon snack at 3, dinner at this time, tea at that time? Just keeping a consistent daily routine allows your body to fall into that pattern, and then you know your hunger signals and you can plan accordingly. I know for a fact I am starving around 12:30 every day. So today we were at some park. Lunch was not going to happen until 2:30. So guess what I do? I have a candy bar. I open that thing up and I start eating because I know my digestive fire is like, where's the meal? What are you doing here? And then, at 2, you kind of eat whatever you can find. But it's just important to stick to your consistent daily routine as close as you can, even on the weekends if you can, and just find a way to stick within a 2-hour time range. That really helps support your body. Take Triphala. So Triphala is a group of herbs. I believe next week you'll be seeing that video from me on the 3 fruits that make up Triphala. It's a very powerful digestive supplement, pretty much, in Ayurveda. We have it built into our carb control. So I shared that just so you know, carb control is a beautiful product. It also has great herbs in it just for your healthy digestion. Because for me, I've been to so many Ayurvedic centers and Ayurvedic places, and now I've studied it in great detail. After reading the textbook on herbs, I would literally take 50 herbs a day if I could. But it's just excessive. And so for me, I built them into Fusionary so that we could all just take 3 and be good, because it's too hard to take 20, 30, 50 a day, because all the herbs out of Ayurveda are pretty amazing in my opinion. But Triphala specifically is one that's always been known to be very healthy and powerful for digestion. Almost like what we now in the West are calling a probiotic. In the East, Triphala would be that herb for you, or that supplement. Meditate to reduce stress. So we put meditation into the self-care rituals. It's also covered here in terms of Agni. If you feel like you don't have healthy digestion, I think most GI doctors in this country would agree with me that that's stress related. And really, we can talk about pranayama, yoga, mindfulness, and meditation until we're all blue in the face, because here in modern times, we're all running around like crazy people. Wake up, run through your day. Evening, wind down quick, go to bed to start that rat race again. So how can you find tiny ways to incorporate this into your day without saying, oh, I don't know how to meditate, or I'm awful at meditating and I don't want to wake up and meditate, all the different stories we have. How can you find a way that works for you? I used to say myself that I'm awful at meditating and I can't focus on it. And I have taken tons of courses and classes and yoga classes, everything. What I have found is I allow myself to meditate however works for me the morning of. Sometimes I read a book. Sometimes I have a meditation corner. Sometimes I'll pull a card and read about something. Sometimes I have to play meditation on my app. Sometimes I play peaceful music. Sometimes I do not want to sit. I just lay on my back and put my legs up the wall. Sometimes I do yoga instead to calm down. So I encourage you to figure out, what is that method for you? Sometimes I journal. What is your morning mindfulness ritual without putting the pressure on yourself about meditation? Because I do hear a lot of people say I can't meditate. And you know what? I have a lot of sympathy, because I'm not a perfect meditator by any stretch of the means. So how can you support yourself and find something that works for you? Because what doesn't work for you, what doesn't work for Agni and what I'm teaching, is staying in high stress mode all the time. I talk to people about this, and I'll explain it to you here. I have a BFF, and we sometimes go to Tao Foot Spa for massages. And she's like, yeah, it's such a luxury. And I said, I don't look at massage as luxury anymore. We can either choose to be in a high stress mode all the time, in fight or flight mode, or we can choose to take activities that put us into our parasympathetic nervous system, get us to calm down, work from the higher brain, work from a calm, relaxed state, have access to more of our own brain, and allow for healthy digestion again. So imagine, just by being in a high stress state up here, you're not allowing for proper digestion. You're in fight or flight mode. Back in the day, if a tiger was running after you and you were in fight or flight mode, all of your body shifts to allow you to run. It diverts its energy away from digestion and those basic body systems that it normally would be giving its energy and attention to. So just think about that logically for a moment. If you constantly feel stressed, you are constantly not digesting food properly, and that's the root cause of all disease. That's a crazy choice to make. I wouldn't be making that one if I were you. I think about that very consciously, actually, as an entrepreneur. I'm like, wait a minute. Am I choosing to live this way and consciously choosing to have chronic disease? No. I have to talk to myself sometimes. Okay, so Shivani, if you want to have a balanced, healthy life, but you have these goals and you're driven and you want to make the world healthy, fine. How can we do all this in a way that makes sense? Well, I personally keep a very managed schedule. I know exactly what I'm doing and where I'm supposed to go, and I leave a 10-20% fudge factor because I have children. You never really know. I plan my food ahead of time. Like today is Sunday. I am planning what's the food that needs to come into my house, how much of it's going to be local, organic, how much of it's just going to come from Costco, Publix, and wherever. What are the meal plans? What are we going to eat? When are we going to eat it? How many nights are we eating out? What is the plan next weekend? So I plan a week ahead. And one thing I want to share with you about Agni, you might think, God, she's giving me rules, and what is going on here? This is pretty impossible. I get it. I used to think that too. And I'm also telling you that I don't do this every day. I have a 90-10 rule when I'm on my game and I want to lose weight and be awesome and everything happen. I have an 80-20 rule with myself, which is me being sympathetic and kind. And then I have a 4 days, 3 days rule as well, which is 4 days are going to be fantastic, where I have a lot of control, and the weekends when it comes to the children, or 3 days a week, are however. So really look at your schedule and what works for you. It's not about stressing yourself out and then having bad digestion and everything being out of whack. How about you look at your week and say, where can I fit in a little bit more cooking? Where can I fit in meal planning and meal prep and then carrying my food with me around a little more so I don't eat out? Where, when I eat out, can I make healthier decisions and healthier places that I eat from? Just that kind of thing. So I'm going to go into the 12 guidelines. Wow, I wrote 12 and there's 11. That's funny. The 11 guidelines for an Ayurvedic diet and lifestyle eating plan. And I want you to think about how you can incorporate them. And if you have any questions, please message me here. I can see any questions that you guys have, and I can see who's on the Facebook Live right now. The first one, eat freshly prepared food at every single meal. I know that one sounds preposterous in this day and age, since we have so much ability to just pick up food from wherever, freshly prepared food. It's a goal. It's not a mandatory. I actually used to be very, very, very good about this, and right now it's a little bit more of however we can make it work. But I have freshly prepared food made in my house twice a week, and then we eat it the other 4 days, I would say. 4 or 5 days. So how can you add more freshly prepared meals in your house? For me, I do this a lot at lunchtime. If I can stop in at home between all my meetings and running around and eat, I'll make a quick salad, I'll heat up a veggie burger patty, throw some nuts on there, and that's a healthy, fresh meal. So, or if I have a long day ahead, I know I have a cooler in my car, I can just stack meals and snacks in there that are fresh and have those along the way. So think about how you can add more freshly prepared foods into your meals. Number 2, choose organic and locally grown produce and grains whenever available. So if you think about it, back in the day when Ayurveda was created, we didn't have frozen foods that trucked here to where we live from thousands of miles away in other countries. We know that local food is better for us. It's from our area, it's nearby. We know organic is better. So this is just about trying to add more of those into your daily life and making that conscious decision. One way to think about this, since a lot of people are in this challenge for weight loss, GMOs, genetically modified foods, a lot of the things that we've chosen to do to our food supply are non-food. I'll give you an example. My child asked me the other day about Oreos. They give them Oreos in aftercare. And she said, Mommy, they give me Oreos and it's food. And I said, it's not a food. She said, what do you mean it's not a food? I said, that is chemicals, probably in New Jersey, chemicals in some food factory that know how to make a product that smells like food, tastes like a food, which is here or there, but it's a chemically created product, in my opinion, packaged and handed to you to make you think that it's food, but it's really not a food. There's no food in there. I could read the ingredients again. I haven't read it in forever, but I'm sure it doesn't say real fruit, real vegetables, real nuts, real grains. Maybe it has some wheat in there. Who knows? Probably sugar, which does come from the earth and sugar cane, but pretty much nothing real. And that's my point. How many foods are we eating nowadays that are made up foods that the earth never gave us? And how many of those can we throw towards that digestive fire, hoping that it knows how to digest it and assimilate the good, instead of just taking the bad and depositing the bad into our fat cells and using it for storage? So just think about that and how you can phase out some of those. For me, I have Kind bars, which aren't necessarily the healthiest bar, but it seems like just chocolate, simple nuts, simple foods, a healthy choice on the way. So what kind of healthy snacks can you carry around as opposed to ones that don't support you? Number 3, choose only organic, grass-fed dairy, eggs, poultry, and meat. So I don't know if you guys know the difference between cage-free and free-range. I make sure that I purchase free-range eggs. Cage-free just means that in some commercial chicken coop, there's thousands of chickens stacked on top of each other, pooping on each other, and it's really a not hygienic, not clean area. So if you can, free range is better. Organic is definitely better. You get a lot less chemicals. I encourage you to watch some of those documentaries that are out right now. If you do, I'm sure you'll make the choice to switching more towards organic. Number 4, reduce your consumption of packaged and processed foods. So in my own home, the only packaged foods I think that we really buy are pastas. We buy rice that comes in bags. We buy basmati rice, breads and things like that. I buy that are fresh baked at Publix. But if you can reduce this as much as possible, I think that's a big help. A lot of people say, well, you're Indian, how do you make all your lentils and beans? We buy them dried now, and we either use the Instapot, which is pressure cooker, or we use a crock pot. And really have made that effort to move into dried beans as opposed to canned. That was one big way I reduced processed foods in my home. But if you can look at what you are eating that's processed and how you can make switches that are healthier, that would be a really big deal. Another thing we teach in the Ayurvedic diet and lifestyle is choosing 5 sattvic or healing foods. Sattvic is just a term that means really simple, clean foods. I do a whole lecture on that sometimes about living a sattvic lifestyle if you want to live a yogic lifestyle. But these 5 foods, milk, ghee, almond, honey, and fruit, should be purchased in organic form whenever possible. These are really strength-building foods. We talk about something called ojas in Ayurveda. Ojas really means that vitality and strength. So if you've been feeling like you're tired, you don't have the energy you normally have, you don't have that stamina or that vigor that you normally have, Ayurveda has so much that it teaches on how to have that. One key is great digestion. So all the different tips I'm talking about for healthy digestion, if you can apply those in your life, that can make a great impact. But also, if you ever have a period, like for example, I know some people are sick, the flu is going around, bad colds are going around. If you have been unwell and you want to get your strength back, these foods that I just named are very strengthening. Almonds, milk, ghee, honey, fruit. So if you can have them organic, you'll start to rebuild your energy and your stamina back. Another point I have here is let vegetables and fruit make up 50 to 60% of your daily food intake. So really taking a look at your plate and saying, all right, at lunch, how do I make it 2/3 veggies and fruit, or at dinner, so that maybe at breakfast, if you're just having eggs and toast or something like that, then more in the lunch and dinner time, you've made up for it with the extra veggies and fruit, or maybe at your snack time as well. Then I have here, eliminate unhealthy oils. So in my home, we don't use margarine, shortening, any of these things. We use avocado oil and coconut oil. And there's also a butter that my children love. It's called Kerrygill butter. I don't know if you guys have seen it. It has the gold wrapping on it. It's just delicious. It's organic, grass-fed cows in Ireland somewhere, making the best butter ever. But those are really the 3 that we use. But in all cooking now, we have switched to avocado oil. So really look at what oils you're using that are safe at high temperatures, and using the healthiest oils for your home. Another point I have here is eliminate high fructose corn syrup, any type of corn syrup, any artificial sweeteners, bleached enriched flour, and white processed sugar. So this is an interesting one. I have become the more I teach it, the more I become obsessed with this topic. Almost people around me kind of laugh now, but I can't ethically serve dessert in my home easily anymore. I can't ethically have my kids sell Girl Scout cookies. I can't ethically gift sugar at the holidays. I had a Christmas cookie party this year and everyone laughed really hard. And I said, this is the one day a year, one day, we're going to pretend that cookies are not made of sugar. They all laughed really hard. But the more I realized that sugar is truly a cause of diabetes and disease, I don't see why we're consuming it. There's alternatives. You can have agave, you can have honey, you can have stevia even. But how can we all look at the baked goods that we crave and find healthier choices? How can we look at our habits around tea and coffee and change them to be healthier? For me, I use Manuka honey or local honey in my tea. That's probably the only sugar I get in my day when I'm in my house working or in my office working or here in town. When I go out of town, things change up a little bit because it's a little bit more about what's accessible. But how can you choose to have more of a 90-10 rule with yourself on this, especially during the 21-day challenge, to try to wean yourself off of the sugar and these types of sugars that are not supportive to the body. Another part of the Ayurvedic diet and lifestyle eating plan is to reduce your consumption of frozen and canned foods. So I spoke about canned foods earlier, but frozen foods also fits in that category. So Ayurveda looks at canned food as dead and also frozen food as dead. Now, one question I got previously from people was, okay, well, what's better? Packaged food or frozen food? Or what's better, eating out or cooking your food fresh at home and freezing it? And I think that's a great question. So if you're going to eat out and it's going to be pizza, fries, burgers, all that, yes, cooking at home and freezing it is definitely better. So just look at this as layers of what you can prioritize and also what makes you feel better. So for me, I can eat frozen food at home and feel better than eating out. Or if I do eat out, if I eat gluten-free, I feel better. So I'm very aware of where and what restaurants I can eat out in that leave me satiated, happy, and feeling good, as opposed to, okay, we had a burrito and it was a whole wheat tortilla and now I have gluten and I don't feel as good. So really paying attention to what foods work for you and support you and which ones don't. I know certain people have taken food allergy tests and it's really helped them lose weight, but sometimes it's also tough because you can't eat most of the foods you're used to. And all of a sudden you have to become a creative chef and figure out how to cook out of the list you are allowed to eat. So definitely take a look at the foods you're eating and how they support you or don't support you. What time is it? Let me check real quick. 8:37, over my time. Okay, last two. My clock is way over there. So drink filtered, distilled, or spring water. Definitely the quality of our water is important. To be honest, the quality of everything we do is important. Not to make you guys nuts or anything, but obviously the food is part of Agni, exercise and movement, part of how healthy your Agni and digestion is. Water quality, also important. Are you using tap water or do you have a countertop filter or one in your fridge that you're using? Another is air quality in your home. So what cleaning products are you using? Skin, what kind of skincare are you using on your own skin? How many toxins? So part of the Ayurvedic diet and lifestyle is to do all of it. During this 21-day challenge, I really wanted you guys to do self-care first. Start to build in that habit of taking care of yourself out of love. Because before I get into what it takes to lose weight, I know that mindset is really the first piece of all of it. And you can either go into a diet frustrated, angry, wanting to look like a certain unreachable image and depleted, and then failing miserably. Or you can walk into a diet and lifestyle plan supported, loving yourself, taking care of yourself, doing things for yourself as a gift every single day, nourishing yourself, coming from a place of feeling whole and happy. Which way do you think is going to lead to a more successful adherence to a diet plan and a longer impact of success with that diet plan? Definitely the person who started with the self-care. So there was a method to my madness in this 21-day challenge, and I'm excited to see how all of you do with it. Number 11, be moderate and avoid extremes. Also avoid overeating. So that's the last point here in the guide that I wanted to share with you. Ayurveda teaches all about moderation. If you look at it, I never said you can only do this and you can't do that and this is not allowed. This is preferred, this is not preferred. So definitely take a look at this plan and don't look at it and say, that girl's crazy, I will never do that, that's too much, whatever. These are Ayurvedic guidelines and principles. It's do whatever you can. And from that point, improve a little bit each time. And with that, slowly, you'll learn, in my experience, to really enjoy it. So for myself, I didn't become this person overnight. It took years. I personally have this system called laws. I make laws with myself. My first law was I don't eat sour cream. That was a law I made in high school. I don't eat sour cream. because I knew it was a fattening ingredient, unnecessary, that didn't like add a lot to my Mexican food and didn't support me. So I've never eaten it. I made another one. I don't drink soda. That took a long time to make that law. And once I made it, I probably broke it, I think 3 different times where I did have a glass of soda with pizza or something, and I felt bad. And as I did it, I thought, you know what? It's not worth it. I already decided this is not something I do. If it's a law, why break it? So I encourage you during this time, make 1 or 2 laws, not all 11 plus everything out of the guides. That's going to lead to failure. Pick 1 or 2 and then stick to them. And then in a few months, add another. And slowly you'll see your own digestive fire and your own body is going to talk to you, and it's going to say, please don't do that to me again. I have a lot of people around me, when they eat gluten, they know what they did wrong. I don't have to say anything. No one has to say anything. Their body says it loud and clear. Loud and clear the next day, they know the end result called, that was not healthy for me. Or that afternoon, they're tired. For me personally, if I have wine, I will wake up at 5 in the morning and I can't sleep anymore. That's a good reminder. So your own body will talk to you and say, that's not supportive, that doesn't feel good. And when your body says that to you, you have 2 choices. Ignore the signal and say, forget it, I'm going to do that again, which all of us do at some point. Or say, I learned about this concept called Agni and digestion, and I have this digestive fire, and I could either keep it on and supporting me, which means digestion and metabolism and weight loss, or I can keep turning it off and dampening it and throwing ice water on it and junk and shutting it down and not feeling great. And that not feeling great in the gut feeling just means that you're taking toxins out of your food and you're depositing it. A while ago, oh yes, I took Post-it notes and made little black marks on them to indicate stress. That was a great video. I'll give you a visual image that'll hopefully help plant the seed into your brain now. Imagine you go out for a dinner. You had a sedentary day. You sat in the office all day long. You drove to work, drove back. Literally, you've been sitting all day, no workout, no movement, nothing. And all of a sudden, you have to go to a fancy dinner. This happens to me sometimes, actually. You have to go to a very formal dinner, get dressed, get there, and it's like a multi-course dinner. You have a fried appetizer. You have wine. They serve you cold water, and you don't want to be rude, so you drink the cold sip water. You sip on it and drink it. You have a big, huge meal. For whatever reason, you're distracted by the conversation, so you keep eating, drinking. Dessert comes, you say, why not? I've already been bad. You have that too. Basically, this is like an overfull trash can. Like, it was already full, and you just threw all this stuff on top. It's going to spill everywhere, right? That spillage, imagine it. Like you just stuffed it and it all fell on the floor, a liquid, gooey mess. That's what happens inside your body. In Ayurveda, we teach ama. It means toxins. You're basically taking toxins and like depositing it all over your body. Guess how hard it is to take that out? It's not so easy. It's really not. Detoxification is not easy for anybody. So I just wanted to share that visual with you. Sometimes it takes visuals for me to just sink a concept into my brain and never forget it. So when you're being really, really bad like that, fine, do it. But just remember that our choices to plant disease in the body are conscious decisions. And the stacking of those decisions, in my opinion, that constant stacking of all those decisions over the decades is what leads to a diagnosis we might not want to hear in our 50s, 60s, and 70s. So, how do we undo that? We do these beautiful, healthy habits. We take amazing supplements. We hydrate. We exercise. We also consciously lose the weight that we have accumulated over time. Weight loss can be for aesthetic reasons. Weight loss can also be for health reasons and a number of reasons. In my opinion, we should maintain our weight at a certain level for our health. But as you release that weight, there's a lot of toxins that we have stored in our fat cells. So it's very important to have hydration happening, especially during this time when you're adding all these healthy habits. And next week when I share the weight loss guide with all of you. So that's it for today. That's my talk. I'm sure we're at about 8:45. If any of you have any questions, definitely message me. I think I would see them here. I'm not positive, but I see a handful of you guys are on the call now. If you're on, definitely hit a like or a heart or something so I can make sure that I see all of you. If you guys have any questions, you can post them in this Facebook group on this video later. I hope you enjoyed the content from tonight. This is called the Modern Ayurveda Guide to Healthy Agni, Digestion and Metabolism. So you have this guide in the Facebook group. You'll also be receiving it by email from me. I know it's a lot. Just read it once, though. I think you'll find it so enlightening. It's just a really beautiful way to start to apply what we all know to be scientifically true right now. We are all hearing about the microbiome, immune system in the gut, emotions in the gut. Everything's in the gut. Okay, great. Everything's in my gut. Now what? How do I support it? How do I take care of it? These are those tools. And so how do you 3 or 4 days a week just start kindly, consciously applying these? That's what I would love to see all of you guys do this week. Definitely post every single day what you are able to do out of these. And if you have any questions, I'm here for you. So this is Shivani. I'm signing off. I hope all of you have an amazing rest of your weekend and a great week ahead. Talk to you soon. All right.